Humor, Haunts, and Homicide.
Hey, bitch! I'm Josh.
And I'm Renee.
And this is Humor, Haunts, and Homicide.
Welcome.
Season 2.
Episode 9.
That's right. Feeling fine.
Feeling divine.
Oh, that's nice. Feeling... I got nothing else. Do you? I don't think I can...
No, I think we just...
Divine, fine.
We hit it.
Trying doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
Nothing. Yeah, we're going to have to come back to that, but it doesn't work. But what does work is that we are here almost to the tail end of our season 2.
Yes, already.
And I don't even know where it happened, honestly. Like, it was first episode, and now we're here at the end. So.
Well, basically, we're old, and time flies when you're old, so that's just what happens.
Gosh, it does fly.
It does.
And we have things going on in our lives, like a trip to Savannah we have to take.
I can't wait for that.
So
we're like a little over a month away from that.
So fucking close. So excited to take you there. And we'll touch more on Savannah Ellen a little bit later in this banter of ours. But I will say that, we probably have a little bit of going on in our lives we can tell people about that still care and listen.
I mean, I think everybody cares and listens.
Well, good. If you do, then thank you. And we're going to give you a little bit about what's happening. Hopefully it's not too boring. But if it is, then you know what? That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you have anything going on you're watching, listening to?
Well, I'm still doing, I'm doing my true crime podcast, Evil Lives Here, American Monster thing that I do that no one wants to hear about anymore. But
your inspiration?
Yeah, but one thing I did watch this week, and it wasn't even fully watching it, is I had my daughter with me this week, and she suggested at like 12:30 a.m. one night that she wanted to watch The Conjuring 2.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, I guess. And we did not make it all the way through. I do have to watch like the second half of it. But what I can say about it is I'm terrified of the nun.
She is one scary fucking bitch.
I'm terrified of her. And I also don't like the old man who's rocking in a chair possessing a little girl. I hate her.
I gotta bring myself back to Conjuring 2. Was there a couple different...
Yeah, so basically they're talking about like a haunting in England. And that's where like there's like a family with like a single mom and there's like 4 kids or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there's like the one little girl who's like being possessed. But then they're still also touching on like the Lorraine Warren, and I can't remember what her husband's name is, but Ed, yeah. And the nun thing is happening like at their house right now.
All right.
Because remember, so Ed was like, they were doing the Amityville house investigation.
Yeah.
And I believe that's where she initially like had seen the nun. And Ed was drawing a picture, and it was a picture of her.
Okay.
So there was like a picture of her hanging like in their house, in like this room in their house.
Mm-hmm.
And she like came out of the picture. I don't like her. I hate her.
Well, there's a couple other nun situations in the universe.
Yeah.
So get ready.
Yeah. So it's weird though, because I'm not going to be able to rewatch it or like watch the end of it for like 2 weeks. So.
Oh, because your daughter's not gonna.
Correct. And I'm not allowed to finish it without her. So stay tuned. But
All right. Well, Audrey, you got the tight grip on Mom on the horror realm.
Yeah. What are you watching?
Oh gosh. Well, a couple things I'm watching and playing. So we're watching True Blood as usual.
Yes.
Dylan is really into it, and
Good.
when he gets into a show and he watches a whole bunch of them at once, like we did The Walking Dead in like 2 weeks.
I don't know how he watched The Walking Dead so fast. It was insane.
He went from 0 to holy hero.
It was like 10 seasons, and like, I mean, it might have been longer than 2 weeks, but it wasn't that. I mean, I don't even.
And we only had one full-time job at that point.
Like, it was crazy.
So it was insane. But yeah, we're on season 4 next episode.
Okay.
Because we're on the season finale of season 3 right now. And let's see, Dylan, and spoiler alert, for those of you who have not watched True Blood and it's been 15 years, too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
Suki is now a out and proud fae, a fairy, and she just found that out about herself, and she was less enthused. I forgot about how funny that was. She was like, a fairy? That's boring. I was like, oh man, that's funny. I remember waiting when I watched it originally because it was a season finale or like a longer break or something, and
Yeah.
or maybe it was just one episode. I don't know, but I remember that feeling of, oh my god, what is she? Because it teased it at the very end of one episode.
Yes.
Oh, I was pissed. And Dylan was like, "What the fuck is she?" I'm like, "Just wait, it's coming, I promise," but I didn't know when. So yeah, we're there now, and that's cool. And I'm playing a hell of a lot of video games.
Okay, as usual.
And I do that.
But I know you started a new one.
A new one, yes. I did the new Harry Potter Legacy.
Which honestly, how did you start that game before me?
I don't know.
I don't even know why. I don't own it yet.
I've owned it since Black Friday, and it's been sitting in my games essentially.
Oh, Black Friday. Really?
Yeah, I've had it a long time. Well, I bought that and the Return of the Jedi, the new. It's a couple years old, but okay. I finished that this weekend, and I was like, I'm gonna finally start this one, and it's one of my favorite games I've ever played. Honestly.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's so cool. You get to like learn different spells, and you get to place them in only 4 different spots, and you can interchange them based on what you need to do. And there's a different quest you can choose in order to run around Hogwarts. And it's just, and you get to customize your character and make the name.
Stop, I'm obsessed.
What do you think my name is?
What do I think your name is?
Yeah, like what I had to name my wizard.
I don't know. Did you name it Bianchula?
I did not.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
I'll just tell you because you're not going to guess.
Okay.
But I did it as Xander Scarlet.
Xander
Scarlet.
Okay.
Scarlet's the last name.
Yeah, okay.
And he's got like reddish, like brown, wavy hair that looks like the guy from the, I can't think of that franchise, for the prequel of Harry Potter.
Oh,
The Fantastic Beasts.
Yes.
The main character for that. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, him. He kind of looks like him.
I mean, that was going to be my next guess.
Something with Scarlet.
No, I mean, exactly was going to be my next guess.
Oh, of course.
Because it was so obvious.
I love the name. So obvious. I love the name Xander so much, and it really came from Buffy because of that character. Love Xander. So if I ever have a child, which I won't, his name will be Xander.
Oh,
yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I have I guess he would be my second cousin. Like, my cousin has a son named Xander.
I love it.
And he's the same age as my son, Bryce, who coincidentally has the middle name Alexander, which is like half of Xander, or double Xander. You know what I mean?
Does he have an X in his name too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I love it. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. A couple things we didn't do yesterday, honestly, was go to Gay Pride in St. Pete.
Yeah, we were supposed to do that.
We were signed up. I did the Zoom call. And then I realized that the weather was going to be terrible, and it was going to be hot, and it's
end of June in Florida.
End of June, it's an hour plus away from me, and I just didn't have it in me. I wasn't feeling the greatest. I could have went if I really had the ambition.
Yeah, but I mean, then we found out there were like probably somewhere in between 200 and 300,000 people there, and that's scary to me.
And my Xanax said no, don't do it.
Right, I mean,
so I didn't go. But honestly, I wore gay pride stuff all day long. I had rainbow on. Renee made me some friendship bracelets that had rainbow beads on them. And also said "Bay Men." So, has to do with Beyonce. I just figured it was the right time.
Yeah.
So I was gay yesterday.
But I will say though, I mean, I'm happy to hear that like there was nothing bad that happened as far as I know. Like, so I think everyone had a great time, and
agreed.
I'm happy for them. I'm happy for whoever went.
Everyone got to march safely for the cause that they love and adore and are passionate about, and ultimately we need that now more than ever.
Of course.
Just remember that somebody out there may be gay or might actually know somebody that is and might take offense to some hate that used to be out there. So it's easier to love than it is to hate.
Yeah. Or just maybe like say nothing.
Or say nothing.
I mean,
say nothing or be supportive.
Exactly. I mean, I would definitely vote for the be supportive part because,
You would have had your mom free hug t-shirt on.
I would have too. I do. I've never gotten to wear it yet.
What does it say?
It just says free mom hugs.
Oh, okay.
So, I actually haven't. I mean, I've worn the shirt, but I haven't gotten to wear it yet, like to a pride event. Right. Yeah. So, I will eventually.
Next year.
Yeah.
Next year. Oh gosh, what else is happening in the world of us? Oh, we just went on a recent $300 Walmart trip.
We did, and it's funny because we're going to Walmart for. I think we were going for like snacks, and I was like, and then we'll just look and see if I can find like a workout outfit. Okay, so $300 later. I will say I didn't spend $300 alone. It was between the three of us.
I think it was more like $400.
We spent a lot of money, and I mean, snacks, workout stuff. I don't even know what else what all did we even buy?
I bought 3 workout outfits because we're in this like workout thing. We're going to the gym together. We're in Planet Fitness. Renee's our black card guest, so she gets to hang out with us at the gym.
I get to like squeeze on in there.
She's working on her buns, so that's been her focus there. So that's I'm working on my abs and my arms.
My glutes.
And it's been a lot of fun. We've been connected in that way while losing some weight. I'm really excited to report that I had a weird little moment to myself. We all have our little insecurities, right? Mm-hmm. So there's these pair of jeans, actually all my jeans, really, from before I gained a shit ton of weight. Were sitting in my closet for probably like 3 years, and I haven't tried them on because last time I tried, I couldn't even squeeze them over my fupa. So, I was like devastated, and I wanted to keep them for ambition and motivation. But ultimately, I was staring at them for a few minutes, like contemplating, oh my God, do I want to try these on? Do I not want to try them on? And I was just finally like, get over yourself. It's a fucking pair of jeans. You're alone in your room. Just try them on. So I did, and they fit perfectly. Yeah. So I'm happy to report. I started out doing this whole weight loss thing at 325. I'm now down to 287. Oh. And, doing the right things, working out, eating right, and using medication.
Yeah, we're proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
I am not necessarily trying to lose weight. I just want to, tone up, and I want a bigger booty. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, look. Get it, girl. I need to go, honestly, which really, my goal initially was 200, but then I realized that even 200 on the metric scale for BMI is still considered overweight.
But you're 6'4".
And it's weird, at my very lightest, and I thought I was deathly skinny because I was slightly anorexic when in high school, I was at 175. So you're telling me that just a few pounds over that is overweight?
Yeah, that doesn't seem
I could see my ribs, dude. I was the skinniest I could ever possibly probably be.
Yeah.
And at my height for a safe level. But yet still, and that's why people are fucking, trying to starve themselves and everything else for this small little waist, and it's just not realistic.
No, I don't think so.
Not even according to
and not every person, not every person who's 6'4" has the same body structure to begin with, like the same genetics, all that. So, I mean, I feel like it's going to vary anyway.
You're right.
Like you can't just I don't think you can base it only
genetics has to be involved.
on only a height weight ratio thing.
No,
there's got to be.
There's a million different factors. There's that activity level. There's your job and your stress that you take in. There's your free time. There's your mental well-being. There's the amount of physical calories you're taking in, what you're burning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many different factors. But what's important is that you feel good in your body and that you're doing things that are bettering yourself that make you feel inspired and empowered.
Yeah,
and that's what we're doing. Good. So, yeah.
The end of that. Us.
Good for us. High five to us. And high five to you out there that want to make a change. We can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Tell us what's your weight loss journey been. Are you on Wegovy? Are you just dieting? Are you just changing your lifestyle? We want to know what's working for you.
Yeah. Are you getting a bigger booty too?
Are you getting a bigger booty? What do you want to change? What do you like about yourself? What have you found out about yourself this year? You're going into summer. Is your hot bod going on? Tell us the deets.
How's your summer bod?
All the socials and support or admin at Humor, Haunts, and Homicide. Give it to us.
Yeah. We do have some sad news.
Sad news. And this is the tie into the Savannah piece that we mentioned earlier. So I just did a story on the Maroon. Wow, I can't get that right.
Hello.
That was not a smooth transition. The Moon River Brewing Company. I covered that a few episodes ago.
A few weeks ago.
And I was really excited because it was extremely haunted. We had a great time. The food was great, and it had rich history. And hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Well, I was sitting at my desk at work probably 2 weeks ago or more, maybe. And we're in a little group chat with Renee, my husband Dylan, and I. And Dylan had posted an article saying that the Moon River Brewing Company was closed.
And we were planning on going there in like a month.
It was on our fucking itinerary for the first place we were going to eat because that's what Dylan and I did our first visit to Savannah. So it was going to be like this cool little tradition we were going to start together. And now that's squashed.
Yeah. And that's sad too. Like, you just did this story, so we were like extra like hyped about it.
We were going to report back on what we found and what the experience was.
So unfortunately, the reporting back is that they closed down forever, so we can't go.
We'll still go in front of the building and take pictures of it and, and
cry.
And cry. And the history still lives on. So, if there's anything else they report, and I'm sure that somebody else will snatch it up and it will become another restaurant or bar. And then we'll have time to go in there and view it then too.
I hope so.
It'll be something new and a new story to tell. So that's really all we have for that. But, since we're talking about things that make us sad, why don't we just go ahead and slide right into What the Florida?
Maybe that's the jingle.
That was nice.
Felt right. Maybe we should just keep that the jingle.
Or maybe you should just do your homework.
I know I should.
Or maybe I should just do that.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell a story today about an 8-foot alligator who busts through a Florida woman's screen door.
Oh, not scary at all?
No, not at all. A Florida woman got the scare of her life when an 8-foot-long alligator burst through her screen door and settled into her home. Mary Hollenbach told WFLA she was watching television Sunday afternoon, April 7th, in her Venice home when she suddenly heard her front door rattle. She wasn't expecting a full-grown alligator inside her house. I mean, who would?
What the fuck would you do?
Oh my God.
Just thinking about that. What the fuck? How would you react?
Your
dog was out there eating food in their kitchen?
I'd lose it.
Oh my God.
Ugh. She says, I thought someone who didn't live here was trying to come in, thinking that they were probably in the wrong house because that happens frequently.
Frequently?
So by the time I got up and went near the front door, the gator was already inside, Hollenbach recounted. The homeowner believes the gator broke the magnetic clasp on the door and pushed it open. She managed to snap photos of the scaly intruder lying down in her kitchen. I remember seeing this, like it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I probably got no further, no closer to the front door than you are right now, she told reporters. Just close enough to look and see that it wasn't a person trying to get in. It was an alligator.
What the fuck?
Calling the cops was also a challenge since her phone was sitting on the kitchen counter, inches away from the alligator. Hollenbach luckily grabbed her phone, went on the lanai, and dialed 911. 2 Sarasota County deputies and 3 Florida Fish and Wildlife officers responded to her home and removed the reptile. The gator measured 7 feet 11 inches.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Despite the scare, Hollenbach said she got relief from her neighbors talking about the shocking incident. Her photos of the alligator, which was shared on Facebook, also went viral. I was relieved. I was kind of shaken for a while, but it's like all my neighbors came out and we're all talking about it, and it's just become a really good story since then, she shared.
Whoa.
It brought the neighborhood together, I guess.
Seriously. I mean, lucky, though, that nobody was hurt.
Wow.
That's terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, my story for you is drunk, naked Florida man found sitting inside garbage can, arrested. And he looks like somebody would be doing just that.
Picture, opening your garbage can and seeing that mess sitting in there.
That is,
no thanks.
Terrifying. A Florida man was arrested after authorities reportedly found him drunk and naked inside a garbage can.
Wiley.
Wiley. I hate that.
Ugh,
I hate that.
That's not a good name.
I just want to call him WYLY, even though I won't. Okay. James Weeks, 35 years old, was taken into custody after he tried arguing with cops about whether he was allowed to engage in such bizarre behaviors, according to arrest records obtained by the Smoking Gun. St. Petersburg police officers allege Weeks was intoxicated, unsteady on his feet, and reeked of alcohol when they discovered him on a downtown street Saturday evening on April 6th. During the encounter, Weeks claimed he couldn't be arrested because he was, quote, was allowed to be drunk and disorderly and sit naked in a trash can on the public sidewalk. The arrest affidavit reads. 35-year-old also said he didn't have to tell police his, quote, name or demographics, end quote. This guy. Wow. After officers pulled the nude man from the corner trash can, they arrested Weeks for disorderly intoxication and resisting an officer without violence. According to reporters, he pleaded guilty to both misdemeanor charges the next day and was fined $520. This wasn't the only time Weeks was caught on a drunken escapade. The Smoking Gun reports Weeks and a male friend were spotted drunk and naked on the Tampa street after they left a bar.
This man loves being naked.
Loves it. They allegedly told cops they thought it would be funny to take off their clothes.
Wow.
And that is the story of Wiley James Weeks.
So it says, okay, number one, it's saying that he's on a downtown street, public sidewalk, corner. It talks about, okay, the corner trash can or whatever.
Yeah, corner trash can.
So he's like in like a... Like the trash can's just like on the side of the road, like the concrete. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
you know what I imagine?
How do you get in one of those?
I imagine, and he's not a skinny dude either.
No.
I imagine him sitting there, like almost watching somebody taking a small bath, standing up, but not taking bath, just like sitting there, just basking in the Florida fucking heat.
I mean, really,
smelling.
Honestly.
I'm assuming it's not a brand new trash can.
No, so it's on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Come on.
Now let me tell you, anywhere in Florida is hot, but it's by the water. It's very busy with tourists.
Yeah.
And this guy had no fucking give a fucks.
Yeah.
What?
Wiley, why?
Wiley, why?
Why?
What the fucking Florida?
All right, Josh, I'd love for you to get into your story this week. What are you going to tell me about?
All right, so for today's story, we're going to be jumping back in that little time machine I like to have us get into. We're going to go further back than we've ever been before, okay? So today we're going to talk about one of the most haunted houses in one of the most haunted cities in one of the most haunting times in U.S. history. Let's take a trip back to the 16th century so we can get all the history and the hauntings of the House of the Seven Gables.
Ooh, it sounds exciting.
Have you ever heard of this?
I have not.
Have you heard of the novel? Because does that sound familiar at all?
I know like Anne of Green Gables, and I can guarantee it's not the same thing at all.
No, just the same word.
Correct. So yes, no. The answer is no. I'm going in blind here.
All right. Renee Keller, here we go. They say that there is no house in Salem more haunted than the Turner Ingersoll, better known to many as the House of Seven Gables. With its Gothic-inspired cross gables and darkest coffee wood clapboards, Turner and Ingersoll's infamous House of the Seven Gables looks like something out of a Hansel and Gretel spinoff. Could be Hansel if you like that.
I always thought it was Hansel, but again, I'm not German. Well, I am, but I'm not.
Okay. You're not a practicing German. Is that a better way to put it? You've heard the story, I'm sure, and we all know what has happened to Hansel and Gretel. The breadcrumbs only worked for so long. While Hansel and Gretel face their own fate, the Turner Ingersoll house has been given a variety of fates over the years, a variety of identities too, depending on the century and on the owner. Once the home of a hat and shoe merchant, the historic property on Salem's Derby Street now belongs to the House of the Seven Gables Settlement Association, also known as the HSGSA, along with several other century-old homes. Today, it functions as a museum and event location, welcoming all through its doors to learn about Salem-born author Nathaniel Hawthorne and his life during the 1840s. The history of the Turner Ingersoll Mansion is what we're going to kind of get into.
Okay.
All right. Before there was Hepzibah Pynchon from Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1851 novel, The House of the Seven Gables, there was John Turner, a son of indentured servant from England. Do you know what an indentured servant is?
Yes.
Okay. For those of you that do not know, an indentured servant were men and women who signed contracts that were also known as an indenture or a covenant, by which they agreed to work for a certain number of years or days or whatever in exchange for transportation to a specific destination. And once they arrived, they would be provided food, clothing, and shelter. So it's essentially like contract, but you have very specific terms on what you're going to do. So despite his father's arrival to the American colonies under a system that ensured at least 7 to 12 years of servitude to his employer, back then the employer of the indenture would be known as a master. Just so you know that. Mm-hmm. John Turner quickly stamped his mark on Salem, Massachusetts. He made a living as an invested hat and shoe merchant, and by 1668 had acquired a large enough fortune to construct a new home. That home was the much later nicknamed the House of Seven Gables. The original structure was simple in nature, with only 2 rooms and 2.5 stories tall. Eventually, ambition sparked in Turner, and he decided that he was not content with just being a hat merchant. No, there was much more money to be made, and he worked in Salem's maritime field, becoming a captain and essentially becoming a rich bitch.
Rich bitch.
A rich bitch.
I'm rich, bitch.
That's right. By the time of Turner's death in 1742, he was one of the wealthiest men in Massachusetts Bay Colony. His probate inventory, which is also known as an itemized list of his ownings at the time of his death, spanned to 14 pages.
Wow.
To put that in some context, the average inventory for that period was perhaps just 1 or 2 sheets long.
So he was a rich bitch.
Rich bitch, lots of shit.
Wow.
In fact, John Turner's son, which is John Turner II, inherited 6 homes in the Bay Area, 200 acres of land, and a handful of ships docked at Salem's port. A former researcher for the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, Carrie Carson, once wrote, "Today, it is the lone survivor in New England of the kind of high gentry house that was introduced to North America with new cosmopolitan ideas about domestic living in the last quarter of the 17th century. Merchant John Turner built himself a bigger, better dwelling than most of his neighbors owned." Indeed, John Turner did exactly that. Unfortunately, the third generations of Turners in Salem lost most of the family's fortune, and the prized family home was sold in 1782 to Samuel Ingersoll. And here's where we get a little more into the Ingersoll family and Nathaniel Hawthorne. When Sea Captain Samuel Ingersoll took on the Turner house, it had grown exponentially from its original 2-room dwelling. John Turner II had later added a kitchen area, a south wing to the home, and a 2-story porch. He also added the secret staircase, which is known to many thanks to Nathaniel Hawthorne's House of the Seven Gables. The new owner, Samuel Ingersoll, intended to fancy up the place a little bit more. He removed the famed gables and exchanged them for intricate Victorian detail work. The Turner house became the Turner Ingersoll Mansion. It was during the Ingersoll era that Samuel's daughter, Susanna, and some records note that she preferred to be known as Susan, frequently invited her cousin Nathaniel Hawthorne over to stay while he was in town.
I like the name Susanna.
I do too. I even like the name Nathaniel.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because you can go by Nate, you can go by Nathan,
Yeah.
You can go by Nathaniel.
I think if I was Susanna, I would go with like Susie.
Yeah. Or Susie Q, some people would probably say.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off.
That's fine. We're back on. So now we're going to go into the Hawthorne curse. All right. So author Rosemary Ellen Gilly of Haunted Salem once wrote that Turner and Ingersoll's House of the Seven Gables is a ghostly reminder of shipping fortunes made and then lost, a bust blamed on the curse of the witch trials of 1692. The Turner Ingersoll is a reminder for more than just lost shipping fortunes. It is a blatant reminder of Nathaniel Hawthorne's guilt. It was Hawthorne's great-grandfather, John Haythorne, who served as a judge during the Salem Witch Trials of 1692. As records show, Haythorne may have feigned sympathy for the accused witches, but he never regretted his involvement in their trials or executions. He certainly never expressed any remorse during the trials themselves for sending the accused to their death, even though he probably knew that he possibly put innocent people to their deaths.
Cool.
Yeah, dick. It is said that Haythorne truly believed in the evil of witchcraft and thought it would be a real threat to the population of Salem. Following the witch hysteria of the late 1600s, the Haythorne family lost most of their wealth. Even their high status within society had plummeted. Because typically back then, you were judged on the financial status in society. So when you were on top, everyone loves you. And when you fall to the bottom, you're getting stepped on and treated like shit. Not much has changed.
Not really, not really.
Some things never do, right? Most of the mistreatment was influenced by the families of the accused witches who sought justice for their dead loved ones. By the time Nathaniel was born in 1804, the so-called curse of the Haythorne family had not yet been lifted. During the days that he had spent with his cousin Susan in the 1840s, she revealed more and more of their family's turbulent past. She shocked him with stories of his family's involvement with slavery and other ritualistic evils. At first, Nathaniel confessed to an interest in the Salem Witch Trials, but with age and maturity came a sort of revulsion for his ancestor, Judge John Haythorne, to the point that he allowed Susan to convince him to alter his last name. Until some generations before John Haythorne, the Haythorne family name actually had been spelled as Hawthorne with a W. Speaking to Nathaniel's concern over his budding author career, Susan persuaded Nathaniel to add the W back in. That way, she said, no one would ever know of Nathaniel's dark, shameful lineage.
Oh, okay. I was wondering the whole weird Hawthorne, Haythorne, but like...
I'm surprised you didn't stop me and think I was saying it wrong or typed it wrong.
You know, I was letting you do your thing.
Because you're like, maybe there's some magic behind this mystery here.
There
it is.
With
tied
your magic.
Tied it back in for you. Because we're talking about witches with magic. There you go. Double tie-in. Unfortunately, despite the surname switch, Nathaniel's complete disgust over John Haythorne's sins made a frequent experience in a lot of his literary work. Now we're going to talk a little more about Nathaniel Hawthorne and the House of the Seven Gables novel.
Okay.
All right. In the opening pages of Nathaniel Hawthorne's debut novel, The Scarlet Letter, he took the time to apologize for his family's involvement in the Salem Witch Trials. He wrote, he, and he meant Judge Haythorne, made himself so conspicuous in the martyrdom of the witches that their blood may fairly be said to have left a stain upon him. I know not whether these ancestors of mine bethought themselves to repent and ask pardon of heaven for their cruelties. At all events, I, the present writer, as their representative, hereby take shame upon myself for their sakes, and pray that any curse incurred by them may be now and henceforth removed. What do you think about that?
I mean, I get it, sort of, but I mean, this was like 200 years before him or something, or like, I mean, I don't know if it was that long, but I mean, it was like his great grandfather or something. So I personally find it to be a little unnecessary.
I agree.
Like, I don't think that, like, I mean, I'm not like apologizing for something that my great grandmother did. I mean, I'm not going to do that because,
Maybe he just
anyway,
felt
I don't know, it's weird.
such... I mean, there's a lot of death that occurred back then.
Yeah.
So maybe he just felt some way about his history, or maybe he read something that really sparked a remorse in him. And,
I mean, more power to him. I mean, he can do what he
or
wants,
maybe he felt like the family still deserve it, and they're not talked about enough. So let me help keep their memory alive.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
So that book that made Turner Ingersoll was no better in showing Nathaniel Hawthorne's desire to separate his identity from that of his ancestors. The following year, in 1851, with the release of the critically acclaimed novel House of the Seven Gables, Hawthorne was at it again. The book's plot was centrally based upon Hawthorne's own family and Judge John Haythorne's fight with Philip English, whose wife, Haythorne, had condemned to death for witchcraft. In the book, the Pynchon family has allegedly suffered greatly for its involvement with witch hysteria, but as Judge Pynchon desperately wants his next-door neighbor's land, he has set a course of action to see that his neighbor Thomas Maule is convicted for witchcraft. Poor Thomas Maule is at the gallows on Gallows Hill when he curses the Pynchon family. God will give you blood to drink and quench your greed for eternity. Judge Pynchon ignores the threat and continues on with life. He takes the Maule's family land and builds an illustrious estate on it, including a house that is said to have looked eerily like the Turner Ingersoll mansion, also known as the House of the Seven Gables. As time continues forward, Pynchon's good fortune quickly seeps away. As the first dinner in the house, the judge himself dies by choking on his own blood. Game of Thrones Red Wedding, anyone? Now, we might know where George R.R. Martin got his inspiration. Following Pynchon's ill-timed death, the land is once again restored to Maule's family, and all live happily ever after. Or happily ever after for now, at least. And now we'll get into the restoration of the Turner Ingersoll mansion. Much like the Turner family, the Ingersolls lost their mansion after 3 generations, and maybe that was the real damn curse, is that nobody could keep the damn house, when Susan's son Horace lost the family fortune and sold the home in 1879. According to one New York Times article, by 1870, a Salem guidebook had already identified the building as the House of the Seven Gables. In 1908, philanthropist Carolyn Emerton purchased the infamous Turner Ingersoll mansion with the intention of converting it into something that respected the history of the property. She restored it from the years 1908 to 1910 as a museum whose admission fees would pay to support the association. Boston architect Joseph Everett Chandler supervised the restoration, which, among other alterations, reconstructed missing gables. In some cases, historical authenticity was sacrificed in the interest of appealing to visitors who expected the house to match the one that Hawthorne had described in his romantic novel. Thus, for example, Emerton added a scent shop resembling that was operated by the author's fictional character Hepzibah Pynchon. A representation of Maule's well was added to the garden. She also added what looks like a wood closet, but has a false back. When opened, the back leads to a secret staircase which leads up to the attic. Many interesting features of the original home remain, including the unusual forms of wall insulation, original beams and rafters, and extensive Georgian paneling. The Nathaniel Hawthorne birthplace is now immediately adjacent to the House of the Seven Gables, and access to it is granted with either a regular admission fee or a ground pass. Although it is indeed the house in which Hawthorne was born and lived to the age of 4, the house was sited a few blocks away on Union Street when he inhabited it. In 1994, the Seamen's Visitor Center was opened at a historic site. The Visitor Center was named in honor of the Seamen's family, Donald C. Seamans. I know you were going to get a chuckle out of that one. Was responsible for the building project when he was president of the House of the Seven Gables Settlement Association. On March 29th, 2007, the House of the Seven Gables Historic District was designated a National Historic Landmark District. As of 2022, the House of the Seven Gables opened to the public in April 1910 and has seen millions of visitors ever since. Today, Turner and Ingersoll's House of the Seven Gables is much more than a single museum. Edmonton purchased and moved other properties related to Nathaniel Hawthorne to the Turner Street location. When you visit the Turner Ingersoll, you are truly stepping back in time, and if you're lucky, you might even have a chance to take a peek at the secret staircase.
Cool. So there's another place to visit also.
Absolutely.
Add it to the list.
And if you want to be a little more scared, we're going to talk to you about the ghost of the Turner Ingersoll Mansion.
Okay.
All right. Is the Turner Ingersoll Mansion haunted? Well, it sort of depends on who you ask. Each year, the museum hosts a series of theatrical plays, all of which surround the Salem Witch Trials. Such plays such as Legacy of the Hanging Judge, for example, Judge John Haythorne, and Spirits of the Gables, which is a recreation of Nathaniel Hawthorne's book, are all town staples for Salem. As far as the ghosts outside of the theatrical performances go, well, everyone's got their own opinion on that, but tour guides and employees tend to argue that the Turner Ingersoll is not haunted at all. When asked by people if there are any spirits lurking around the house, they quickly reply, nope, no ghost here, which I find weird because... Yeah, we'll get there, but local lore has a different story to tell, and so do many of the visitors who enter the Salem's House of the Seven Gables. For many years, there have been a number of spirits reported at Turner Ingersoll Mansion. In the famous secret staircase, visitors have witnessed the spirit of a man running up and down the stairs. Those who have seen him are quick to link his spectral existence to the Underground Railroad, but the Turner House, even in the 18th and 19th centuries, was never a stop on the Underground Railroad, and those secret steps were not even built until nearly 50 years after the closing of the Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah. Other reports have seen a phantom boy who enjoys playing in the attic. Throughout the day, his little footsteps can be heard pouncing up and down the stairs as he giggles and laughs. According to one historian, the attic space once functioned as the servants' quarters for the property. Is it possible then that the ghost boy is none other than one of the servants who once lived there? Maybe, if you believe that version of the haunting tale. For others, they adamantly believe that the little boy is Julian, the son of Nathaniel Hawthorne. Personally, I find it hard to believe, since by the time the Hawthorne did have children, he no doubt would have been visiting the Turner Ingersoll Mansion, as he frequently did in his youth.
Okay.
The last frequently seen specter at the House of the Seven Gables is none other than Susanna, or Susan, Ingersoll herself. Her spirit has been seen spotted walking throughout the halls of her former home, even peeking out the windows to those who enter the estate through the garden below. Has the ghost of Susan Ingersoll been there the entire time? It seems likely, according to the various reports. She is perfectly content to remain at the home that her father had bought from the financially strapped John Turner III. Should you be feeling the desire to walk the same path as the author Nathaniel Hawthorne, there is no better place to do it than the Turner Ingersoll home, Hawthorne's House of the Seven Gables. The museum comprises his former birthplace, his childhood home, and yes, the House of the Seven Gables as well. As for the ghosts and hauntings, your best luck will be in the attic space of the Turner Ingersoll, where one witness claimed to have been choked on by invisible hands.
No thank you.
Yeah. The House of the Seven Gables became a symbol of both the past and the present during the 16th century, It is a haunting reminder of the sins and the darkness that can linger within the walls of a home after a tragedy so dark it sticks through time. As the sun sets each day, it casts long shadows over its weathered facade. The whispers of its haunting history continue to echo through the halls, forever entwined with the legacy of the enigmatic family that bore its name. This was the story of the Turner Ingersoll house.
Yes, let's go there.
You like that?
I do. I want to go there. Yeah.
This one really got me. I love that one. Okay, thanks. All right. I'm sure you're going to give me some fucked up bastard this week.
I am. And his name is Jerome Brudos, also known as Jerry.
I hate his name. So I hate him.
Well, here we go. Let's talk about him.
Okay, let's do it.
Jerome Henry Brudos was born on January 31st, 1939 in South Dakota. Known as the Lust Killer, Jerome Brudos murdered several women in the Salem, Oregon area in the late 1960s. His family moved around a few times while he was growing up, spending time in Oregon, California, and South Dakota. Which have you ever been to South Dakota?
I've not been to Oregon or South Dakota.
Well, me neither. But they have the Mount Rushmore is there. I want to
Oh, is that what that is?
I want to go to there. So
that sounds great.
Anyway, the youngest of two boys, Brudos had a strained relationship with his overbearing mother. I found out about this story from True Crime All the Time. I've been talking about them a lot.
Yes.
And basically, he was an accident. So his brother was planned, his older brother. Jerry was an accident, but when they found out that she was pregnant, they were like really, really hoping for a girl. Oh. And when he was born and he wasn't a girl, they were like horrible to him because of it. So he was a
disappointment.
Yeah, and his mom like never let him forget it.
Oh,
basically what they like.
Yeah, terrible.
So it's
disgusting.
I'll never understand that, but anyway. Jerry discovered a pair of high-heeled shoes in a junkyard when he was 5 years old, marking the beginning of his fascination with women's footwear, like at 5.
Oh.
And it really did. Now I know little boys will wear their mom's high heels around the house and stuff like this, but this he took this to a whole nother level.
I was one of those little boys.
Yeah, I mean this was a whole nother level though. You did not turn into what he did. So.
No, but I was walking around in a sweater naked in high heels.
Oh.
At the age of 5.
Okay.
You know, when you know, you know.
I'm sure you were fabulous.
I was.
Now, when his mother found him wearing the shoes, she took them away and destroyed them. His fetish for women's shoes only continued to grow, and he later began stealing women's underwear from neighboring homes, as well as shoes.
Okay.
As he grew, he developed a dark fantasy life, which involved violence against women. Brudos began acting on these disturbed thoughts.
Gross.
So, yeah, he was daydreaming about some pretty terrible things, as an adolescent.
Disgusting.
At the age of 17, he threatened a teenage girl with a knife and forced her to take off her clothes. Brudos then took photos of her naked body. For his crime, he spent some time in an Oregon State Hospital's psychiatric ward, but was allowed to continue to attend school during the day.
How the fuck does that make sense?
I don't understand it. How can you rehabilitate somebody? You're okay, he's bad enough to need to go into this psychiatric ward, but no big deal. He can go to and from school every day.
It's like being on work release when you're in prison.
Yeah. So basically, he would just go there to essentially eat and sleep. What was actually the benefit? Now, again, I will say, he was 17. He was born in the third. So this was 50, maybe late 40s, early 50s. So it was just a different time.
He was still a threat, regardless of what time period you're in.
What I'm getting at is that this shit wouldn't fly today.
Oh, of course.
Is what I mean.
It's just, wow.
Back then was a disaster.
Unbelievable.
Now, after high school, Brudos eventually became an electronics technician. There are also some reports that he spent time in the military, but was discharged for his bizarre obsessions. Around the age of 22, Brudos married and moved to Portland, Oregon. The couple had 2 children. Despite this seemingly pleasant domestic life, Brudos continued to explore his fetishes, sneaking into other people's homes to take women's underwear.
Imagine you're sitting on your couch and you fall asleep and you wake up and some man is sitting in your chair across from your couch in your underwear.
And probably your high heels.
Yeah, because he loves a good pump.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, what would you do?
I would probably scream, I guess I would start there.
That's a good place to start.
Call the police,
Yeah. Maybe get your shoes back because you love those
right?
shoes.
Those are my favorite stilettos,
Right,
bitch.
bitch.
Brudos is believed to have attacked a woman in 1967. In May of that year, he targeted a woman because he liked her shoes and followed her home. Brudos went into her house after she went to sleep. After strangling her to the point of unconsciousness. I can't say that word. Unconsciousness.
Yeah.
Wow. He raped her. Then left, taking some of her shoes with him. Brudos was not connected to this crime until much later. So he did not murder this woman, thankfully.
Good.
But yeah, it's still terrible. Now, here's where he escalates, though. Because, obviously he wasn't just going to continue stealing shoes and underwear for the rest of his life.
Nope, can't be that soft.
On January 26, 1968, Linda Slauson, a young encyclopedia saleswoman, paid a visit to Brudos' home.
Slauson? I don't know why they got me. Sloth? Okay, sorry.
He pretended to be interested in buying a set, but he had more sinister intentions. Brudos later admitted that he hit her in the head and then strangled her to death. After her death, he kept the body for a time, dressing it up in women's undergarments. Brudos also removed one of her feet so that he could put high-heeled shoes on it from his collection. Later, Jerry dumped the body.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
I am floored.
Yeah, you should be.
Okay.
That November, Jan Whitney was driving home for Thanksgiving when her car broke down. Brudos saw her and stopped to offer her help. Instead, he strangled her in his car and had sexual relations with her dead body.
Ew.
Which is gross. Brudos brought Whitney's body into his workshop and dressed and posed it for photographs. As with Slauson's remains, he decided to keep a part of his victim. This time he removed one of Whitney's breasts.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah. The killing escalated the following year. Brudos abducted 19-year-old Oregon State University student Karen Sprinker from a parking garage in downtown Salem in March. Taking her to his home, he sexually assaulted her and strangled her to death. Brudos also removed both of her breasts after her death. Only 4 weeks later, he struck again. The victim this time was 22-year-old Linda Saley. He kidnapped her from a shopping center and brought her back to his home to continue his murderous spree. As he had done with his other victims, Brudos disposed of the body in a river. A few weeks later, Saley's body was discovered in the Long Tom River. Her corpse had been weighed down by a car part. Police working the case noted the unusual knot on the nylon rope used to tie the body to the auto part. Continuing to search the river, police found Sprinker's remains a few days later. They too had been tied to a car part using an unusual knot. During the course of their investigation, the police interviewed students at Oregon State University in Corvallis about the murders. Some female students reported receiving phone calls from a strange man claiming to be a Vietnam veteran looking for a date. One of the students actually went out with the caller, a heavyset man with light hair and freckles. During their encounter, the man made some reference to the dead women found in the river and the possibility of taking his date away and strangling her. Like, who would make that?
What?
Yeah. Anyway. Police asked her to call them if the man ever called again and to set up a meeting with him at her dorm. After a few days, the man, who turned out to be Brudos, surprise, surprise, called and agreed to get together with the young woman. Instead of his date, Brudos found the police waiting for him when he arrived. They interviewed the electrician and decided to investigate him further as a possible suspect. After a young woman he previously attempted to abduct identified him, the police were able to get a search warrant for his home. There, they found a wealth of evidence, including nylon rope and Brudos' photos of the victims. Why would you keep that where people could find it?
And take photos of them.
Well, I mean, why would you just do wrong things anyway? During an interrogation, Brudos admitted to the 4 murders, as well as several other assaults and attempted abductions. He was first charged with the Saley and Sprinker murders. Brudos tried to avoid punishment by claiming he was not guilty by reason of insanity.
Oh, of course.
I hate that.
Oh, it's stupid.
The mental health expert who examined him, however, determined that he was legally sane. Brudos knew what he did was wrong and never showed any signs of remorse for his actions. Brudos eventually pled guilty to the murders of Saley, Sprinker, and Whitney. He was never tried for Slauson's murder since no body had ever been found. For these crimes, he received 3 consecutive life sentences with the possibility of parole. And thankfully, he actually never did get paroled. I will say that because, fuck him. His wife divorced him in 1970, left the state with their 2 children, and she has since changed her name.
Good for her.
While serving his time at the Oregon State Penitentiary, Brudos tried several times to appeal his conviction, but these efforts all failed. He died of natural causes on March 28, 2006, at the Oregon State Penitentiary Infirmary. At the time, Brudos was the longest incarcerated inmate in the history of the Oregon Department of Corrections. Now, coming back to his wife, taking the children away, not only did she never let the children visit him in prison, she would not even let them write him letters or vice versa. She would which I really applaud her for that.
Cut that bitch off.
Really applaud her for
Seriously.
that. Because he sucks, and I wish that Oregon had the death penalty because he was able to live until he was I don't know, he was old.
I hate him.
So I hate him, and that's
Bastard.
the story of Jerry Brudos.
The foot freak.
The foot freak lust killer.
Fucking weird. Good job.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Episode 9 is a wrap. And the show sources for my story on the House of the Seven Gables is the Ghost City Tours website, and Wikipedia's website for the House of the Seven Gables, and sevengables.org's website on the museum itself.
And my show sources for Jerome Brudos was a biography.com article on him. And let me once again shout out True Crime All the Time because I'm obsessed with them right now.
Get it.
Josh, I have something very important that I really need to discuss with you.
Oh, get it out, girl.
Mystery never sleeps.
And neither do we.
Bye.
Bye. Bitch.
Humor, haunts, and homicide.